Hello there. Now, some good breaking news is that Africa's largest oil refinery has been commissioned in Lagos, Nigeria. And a lot of people are saying that this new refinery is going to be a game changer on the African continent. A little background information on this is that Nigeria's new Dangote Petroleum Refinery is Africa's biggest, and it will produce 650,000 barrels a day, giving it the potential to address Nigeria's energy supply crisis. It is owned by Nigerian industrialist and Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote. The refinery is expected to boost domestic refining capacity, getting rid of the current consumption shortfall. It will also reduce import dependency and stimulate economic growth. Now, I'm going to try to explain what that means for Nigeria, right? Because I said it's Africa's largest oil refinery. And the other thing you have to note is that Nigeria definitely is the largest country in Africa. The other thing about Nigeria is that it's the Africa's largest crude oil producer. Again, it is the largest crude oil exporter. But the other thing that most people don't know is that it also happens to be the largest country in Africa that imports the largest volume of petroleum products. In other words, these are products that you get after you do refining of crude oil. Things like petrol, things like LPG, the gas, things like diesel, things like engine oil, plastic, and so on, and fertilizer. So Nigeria is the largest importer of petroleum product, and specifically they import petrol, which is also called gas, and diesel. So they send their crude oil to China, to India, to South Africa, to so many other countries out there, and then go to Europe, mostly the Netherlands, which is a country that is an oil producer, by the way. So they go to this country, the Netherlands, and other countries, and buy refined petroleum products like petrol, gas, and diesel, and then return it back to Nigeria. And I'm going to give you a little bit of maths so that you understand what I'm talking about. Last year, 2022, Nigeria spent 23.3 billion US dollars to import petrol and diesel, and they consume 33 million liters of both petrol and diesel every day. And this Dangote Refinery, which has a capacity to refine 650,000 barrels per day. Now, if we were to convert those 650,000 barrels, we would get 103 million liters. But of course, not everything from crude oil becomes petrol, right? So even if you divide by 2, 103 divided by 2, you get 51 point, right? So 51 million liters could be refined from that refinery. So what does that mean? It means in Nigeria, since we have seen they consume 33 million liters of petrol every day, and this refinery could easily refine 51, then it means Nigeria will always have a surplus of 20 million liters of petrol every day. What this means for Nigeria is that instead of them being now the largest importer of final petroleum products, they are going to be the largest exporter of the same, maybe the largest, not only crude oil but also the refined product. And that's all thanks to this new refinery, the Dangote Refinery. And it doesn't mean that Nigeria doesn't have refineries, by the way, because the government also has some few refineries, but because of corruption and lack of maintenance, they produce very low basic volume. So with this one, which is expected according to Dangote to produce about 72 million liters of petrol every day, that eventually that's the target, and about that 4 million liters of diesel every day, and also about 18 million of kerosene and 2 million of jet fuel every day in Nigeria. That's their target, by the way. Then this means Nigeria will always have a surplus to export either to neighboring countries or to other places in the world, right? And the other thing you need to note about this massive refinery is that it's going to employ more than 250,000 Nigerians. And this massive petrochemical complex, which is said to be the world's largest single train refinery, cost this guy Dangote 19 billion, of course US dollars, to build, and it took him 7 years. And initially the estimates were 12 to 14 billion, but definitely they overshot that budget. And currently they only have 3 billion US dollar as the outstanding loan or debt on that, meaning they have covered the other money. And the complex also has a 405 megawatt power station. So in other words, they are going to be using the diesel or the heavy refined kind of crude to fire thermal generators that will produce 405 megawatts of power. Part of that electricity is going to be used at that complex, but the excess will be supplied to neighboring factories and homes. And then they also have a deep sea port. They were able to dredge the area near that site and create this deep sea port that can accept those mega super tankers that carry either petroleum or crude oil. So I think it's a tactic that in case Nigerian crude oil is not enough, because there have been cases of theft of crude oil in Nigeria and destruction of pipelines by some rebels in Nigeria. So it means there's a time this refinery may be operating under capacity because of the crude oil not being enough. So then the plan B is to have the crude come from another country like Equatorial Guinea or Ghana or Gabon. So that is the plan also. It's a plan B. That's why they have this deep sea port. And they also have another petrochemical complex called for fertilizer. So this one will be making or manufacturing fertilizer for farming. And that's one of the other goal, according to Dangote. He wants to empower Africa in agriculture by giving them affordable and easy to access fertilizer. So this is a game changer. That's why I said this refinery is a huge game changer on the African continent. Kindly let us know your comments in the comment section below. And you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel, by the way.